Hey Deckers, the First Descendant is finally live and is getting a few issues, but it is running out of the box on the Steam Deck, pretty much similar to what we saw in the technical test, apart from we have a few more disconnect issues. Now on the default low settings, which is what you're seeing here, we do see things pretty clearly, and we are getting between 30 and 40 frames per second, but closer to that 30 in those battles a lot of the time, although it does appear to go back up to the 40s on regular occasions. But it is plagued by a disconnect issue for me, especially on the Steam Deck right now. But even in planets and bits and pieces, we get some hefty load spikes here and there, but for the most part, it does stick around that 30 to 40 frames per second. Now the difficulty really ramps up when you get to the sterile land, so you are going to be looking to bring in some companions or do some grinding before you take on a few of these missions, as I've failed a few of these after being very easy in the earlier stages. As soon as you hit here, try and protect the Albion repeater. At level 11, I did struggle with this one on my own, so you need to level up a little bit more for this one. But as far as AMD FSR and XESS is concerned, it's not very well implemented in this one, especially the FSR. I'm assuming this is FSR 1. I do also recommend putting up the anti-aliasing to medium just to make things look a little bit smoother, especially if you're going to use any of the upscalers. But you will need to turn on the additional options if you want to get into the FSR, etc. So if we turn on AMD version here, which is FSR, looking like FSR 1 with how grainy it is, it's really bad going in and out of the menus. And again, we don't really gain anything from turning that on, apart from a few extra lag spikes and blurriness here and there. Now, for the most part, I was running this with the Intel XESS set to quality, and obviously turning off that motion blur as well, keeping that anti-aliasing on medium. And I did feel that this did give me a more stable experience, but I did still get those load spikes here and there. You don't get that menu issue dropping in and out. But when I actually go through the battle scenarios, it was pretty much the same. If anything, it was maybe 1 or 2 frames per second higher in the Colossus battle, but I did still notice a little bit of that blurriness creeping in here and there. And when we were on the levels, I actually saw, especially in this battle, it dipping more often. Now I think it's because that XESS is eating the CPU somewhat, and this is quite a CPU heavy game. So I actually would recommend keeping the upscalers off with that anti-aliasing on medium and motion blur off on that low preset, and you're going to have an absolute fantastic time with this. Well, I say fantastic, it is going to get a little bit frustrating if you haven't got some friends, but a bit of grinding and all will be good. Now, just as I was about to wrap this up, I went to take a screenshot on the SDG Companion App, which I'll put on the screen so you can see that this is already capping out at over 200,000 daily active players, but I noticed the GeForce Now logo. So I did dive in quickly on the deck, and yes, it has been added to GeForce Now as well, meaning I can run this at full ultra settings, and this is where we see just how good this game can really look. So if you do have decent internet and you do have that GeForce Now subscription, this is the ultimate tier. Then you are able to run this completely maxed out on the Steam Deck, but you will need a decent internet connection and pay that £20 a month as well. But overall, if you are wanting to get the absolute most out of this on the go, then it is available on GeForce Now as well. Let us know if you're going to be diving into the First Descendant on the deck or on GeForce Now in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.